Hey there, Cinemaster fans. Hope you're ready for some movie magic. Let's dive right in. Our movie begins with Noah arriving at school, walking with his friends, and getting ready to take an exam. They talk about how they haven't studied at all, and everything is in chaos. Since Noah isn't good at school and is failing, he and his friend manage to get the answers for the exam they're about to take, saying it's the only way they'll pass. But when Noah enters the exam, he becomes nervous and hesitant to cheat, fearing the teacher might catch him and get him into trouble. He tries to answer the questions but can't figure anything out. Later, we see him and his friends on a bus heading home after the exam, and his friend mocks him for not cheating, calling him a coward and saying he'll never succeed like this. From the beginning, it's clear the movie revolves around a significant event that will happen to Noah. That's why we need to get to know his family first before the story unfolds. We're introduced to his mom, Jo, who seems laid back and cool but isn't really into parenting or disciplining the kids. She just tries to go with the flow and manage things as best she can. Then we meet his dad, David, who is shown to be a workaholic, obsessed with his job and has no time for his kids or wife. It's evident that Noah is part of a crazy family where no one has time for anyone else, and he's left trying to navigate life on his own as best as he can. We see Noah, his mom, and his sister sitting at home, preparing for dinner with their dad because it's Christmas Eve. However, David tells them he's too busy with work and won't be able to join them. Jo hangs up the phone, upset that, as usual, he won't be there, leaving them alone on Christmas Eve. Noah and his sister are disappointed and remind Jo that their dad had promised to take them on a trip for the holidays, but they're sure he won't keep his promise, just like every other time. Suddenly, Noah's sister, Emma, starts crying, saying they must go on a trip and have fun. It's clear she's sensitive and quite different from Noah. While Noah spends time playing on his phone, Emma is seen practicing her guitar in her room. She only comes out when one of her guitar strings breaks and asks Noah to fix it. However, Noah, feeling frustrated, refuses and speaks to her rudely. As he pushes her away, their mom intervenes, telling him that just because he's upset with his dad doesn't mean he can take it out on his sister. She reminds him to treat her well since she's his younger sister and isn't at fault for anything. Jo tries to calm the situation and smooth things over. Later, we see Noah playing video games when David comes home and tries to talk to him. But Noah is still upset and angry with his dad. After some conversation, David manages to make amends, and they reconcile. That night, David's phone rings while he's sleeping, and his boss tells him he needs to come to work immediately. With no other choice, David agrees and tells Jo that they should go ahead on the trip without him, and he'll join them later after finishing work. The next day, Noah, Jo, and Emma arrive at the place they had booked for their trip. They're excited and happy to finally have a change of scenery. They explore the area enthusiastically, running around and discovering new things. Noah and Emma head to the beach, playing and enjoying themselves. Suddenly, Emma spots something unusual in the water and calls Noah to check it out. He picks it up and throws it onto the sand. Upon closer inspection, they find a strange-looking cube. The cube suddenly opens, emitting light and strange things inside it. They stare at it in amazement and discover an electronic tablet-like device inside. They decide to take it and hide it, agreeing not to tell their mom about what happened. When they return home, they act as if nothing happened. Jo notices the tablet with them, picks it up and examines it, but doesn't find anything unusual. She tosses it back to them and walks away. Later that night, Emma becomes curious about the cube they hid and wonders how to open it. When she does, she finds a glowing rabbit inside, which starts talking to her. Overjoyed, she talks back to the rabbit. The next morning, Noah wakes up and asks Emma where she got the rabbit. He demands that she give it to him, but Emma refuses. They argue until all the stones from the cube fall to the ground and break apart. Emma starts playing with the stones, which suddenly light up and make strange sounds. Noah and Emma discover that the stones have unique powers. Emma suggests Noah use them for his school project, but Noah dismisses the idea, saying his teacher wouldn't care about anything he does and that it's pointless. In a completely different scene, we see Wyatt and his girlfriend Naomi sitting together, talking. Naomi seems to be meditating or praying, but it's unclear. Wyatt tells her about a recurring dream he's been having, where he sees numbers that turn out to be winning lottery numbers. Naomi gets upset, scolding him for not telling her about the numbers earlier, saying they missed out on winning 18 million because of his stupidity. Back at the beach, Jo is sitting while Noah and Emma play and run around with their stones. Emma becomes very attached to her new rabbit and refuses to let it go, talking to it constantly. Meanwhile, Noah experiments with the stones, holding them to his ear and hearing strange sounds. He discovers that he can hear everything around him, even things far away, such as what his mom is listening to on her phone. He hears the sound of insects crawling on the ground and leaves falling from trees. He even hears a spider talking and understands it perfectly. Both Noah and Emma are amazed by what's happening, but decide not to tell their mom about it. The next day, Emma is sitting, and she plays with her rabbit and keeps talking to it, and it seems as if it is talking back to her, and that only she can hear it. Meanwhile, Noah keeps sculpting the shapes of the rocks he has with him, doing strange things, and witnessing events that are honestly closer to impossible. It's honestly illogical. At this time, Emma keeps saying that her rabbit can see the future and knows everything about them. And indeed, Emma foresees her father arriving soon, and moments later, he actually arrives. Everything happens exactly as Emma predicted, and they all spend a wonderful time together, thrilled that their father is finally with them. But then we see Jo uneasy about her children, starting to suspect they're hiding something from her. David keeps telling her that their kids are grown up now, and it's normal for them to have secrets, and she shouldn't constantly worry about them. Later, we see David trying to bond with Noah, spending quality time with him. Eventually, their trip ends, and they return home. We then see Noah going back to school after the vacation ends. During class, Mr. White explains a lesson about DNA and genetics. During his explanation, he brings out a two-headed snake to illustrate the lesson further. Later, we see Noah walking with his friends after class, when Mr. White calls him back, telling him he forgot his drawing in the classroom. He compliments Noah's artwork, showing him other drawings Noah made, and is amazed because all the drawings are of a mandala. This is the same mandala Mr. White dreams of every night. He starts questioning Noah about how he knows of this world and how he can draw such things. Later, we see Mr. White returning home, telling his girlfriend about everything, and they both start researching mandalas in books. They eventually find a drawing of the mandala, identical to Noah's, and are astonished at how Noah could draw it with such precision. They also wonder why it appears in Mr. White's dreams. One night, David wakes up to loud noises coming from Noah's room. When he enters, he finds Noah drawing and tells him he's working on a science project for school. The next day, Noah presents his project at school, explaining how he trained spiders to weave webs in the shape of a bridge. Everyone is impressed, and his parents are very proud of him. Mr. White tells Noah's parents that their son is a genius, naturally talented, and that he is very proud of him. Meanwhile, Emma is with her nanny, reading Alice in Wonderland. Strangely, Alice in the story holds a rabbit just like Emma's. Emma starts asking about aliens and strange, mysterious things, making the nanny suspicious. She feels Emma is hiding something and tries to coax it out of her. Emma finally agrees to share her secret, but only if it stays between them. She picks up some stones, throws them on the ground, and light and strange phenomena emerge from them. The nanny is shocked and terrified, unable to believe what's happening. Emma plays with the shapes that appear, while the nanny panics and runs away like a madwoman. At the same time, Emma's family arrives home, seeing the nanny fleeing. When they enter, everything appears normal. They ask Emma what happened, but she says nothing. Later, Noah is in his room and notices the stone moving, the painting emitting light and strange sounds. When he approaches and touches it, something pulls the painting from his hand, causing a loud noise and an explosion. Suddenly, the electricity goes out in the entire house, the neighborhood, and almost the whole town. We then see a group of men in an office, led by Officer Broadman, holding a meeting to investigate the sudden, unexplained power outage. They discuss and debate the situation. The next day, Jo talks to a psychologist about everything happening with her children, expressing her feeling that they're not normal. During this time, there's a knock on the door, and Noah answers to find Mr. White and his girlfriend, Naomi. They tell Jo they need to talk to her urgently, showing her pictures of the mandala, explaining it's very rare and not widely known. Jo is astonished by their words. Then they shock her by showing Noah's drawings of the mandala, identical to the rare images. Jo is in disbelief. Mr. White tells her Noah drew the mandala without ever seeing it or knowing about it. Naomi explains that, in the past, there were children with extraordinary abilities, and Noah might be one of them. She claims she has a way to identify gifted children. When she examines Noah, she finds him to be ordinary. However, when she looks at Emma's hand, she is stunned, saying she's never seen anything like it before. She tells Jo that Emma is a gifted child with special abilities. Jo breaks down in tears, refusing to believe it, and tells them to leave immediately. That night, Jo talks to David, telling him everything that happened. David dismisses it as nonsense, telling her not to think about such absurdities. The next day, David tries to lighten the mood, joking with his children and spending quality time with them. He talks to Emma, trying to take her rabbit, but Emma refuses, crying and screaming. When David insists, Emma changes his mind by levitating the sugar into his cup. David and Jo are shocked by what they see, finally convinced of Mr. White's words. They call him and Naomi, but none of them can explain what's happening. While discussing, they hear a noise upstairs. When they enter the room, they see Emma floating in the air, happy. Naturally, they are terrified. Jo tries to calm Emma down, but he keeps telling her that she did nothing wrong and that she was just playing with her rabbit. Jo continues to cry for her children and realizes that the rocks they have are the reason for all of this. She reassures them to bring all those rocks and the rabbit, and she takes them and throws them all out. She keeps crying, of course, all night because she wants her rabbit. Noah goes and brings her the rabbit to calm her down. As soon as she sees it, she opens the story of Alice in Wonderland and keeps telling Noah that she is with the same rabbit that was with Alice. She keeps convincing him that he can help her accomplish the mission they are tasked with and save the rabbit. He eventually agrees after she pleads with him a bit. They grab the board they had, and she puts her head into the light that came from it. She sees the future and strange alien creatures, and suddenly Noah pushes her out. Something strange happens to her, and she loses consciousness. Their father and mother come and calm her down. The next day, David tells Joe that he took a leave from work to stay with them for a while, until their daughter gets better. Joe is happy that he will be with them during this difficult time. Suddenly, the door opens, and the police rush in and arrest all of them without any introductions or explanations. They are all put into the van together. Then we see them all sitting in a room waiting for someone to explain what is happening. Noah keeps apologizing, saying he is the reason for all of this, but his family calms him down and assures him that everything will be resolved. Then an officer enters, and as soon as he does, Emma starts telling him everything and shows him all the magic she can do. He is astonished by what he sees and doesn't know how to react. He and his team search the rabbit to see if they find anything, but are very confused and find no explanation for what is happening. Emma keeps telling them that people in the future don't know how to travel through time and that they need their help. She explains that what they need is found in their world and that the rabbit is the last messenger sent to communicate with them, to help them connect. Emma keeps insisting that she and the rabbit are the last hope for the future, but they don't believe her and refuse to help. They keep saying she must be crazy and not normal. Then we see Emma and Noah planning to escape from the place without anyone noticing. They cleverly open all the doors, collect some items, and leave. They get into a big car and drive away. At the same time, Wyatt wakes up startled and wakes up Naomi, telling her they must help the kids. They take their cars and find themselves at the same place the kids reached. They are surprised at how they knew the location, but even Wyatt himself doesn't know how he got there. They ask them to take them to the island they were on before, urgently. Naomi convinces them to take them, insisting it is necessary and that the people from the future have been trying to contact them for a while and that they must respond and help the kids. They all get in the car and drive. Emma keeps saying on the way that they must save her rabbit before it dies. They arrive quickly, collect all the stones on the ground, and place them outside. Emma explains to Noah exactly what he needs to do to carry out their mission correctly. Suddenly, their family and the police arrive at the same place. But by then, they had already started the rituals, and no one could stop them. They have no choice but to wait and see what happens. We see Emma lifted into the air, and a strange force moves her and pulls her in. Noah keeps trying to pull her back, and their father stops the energy device that was working, saving Emma. They see a mandala-like shape in the sky, which then disappears, leaving them all confused about what just happened. The officer apologizes to the family, saying he's sorry for not believing them. He tells them that if they need any help, he is ready to assist them, and then he leaves. We see Wyatt telling Naomi that this time he remembers the lottery numbers very well. Then we see the whole family back home, and Wyatt starts preparing to win the lottery this time. In the final scene of the movie, we see a glimpse of the future, where a woman explains everything that happened and all that Emma did for them, stating that her tears that fell on the rabbit were what saved humanity. Then we see a woman sitting, telling the story of the kids, and we learn that they all have special abilities just like Emma. The movie ends there. That's it. See you in the next